Welcome to this explainer. I am honestly so thrilled you're here today because we're going to unpack something absolutely profound. Okay, let's just dive right into the deep end. The Almighty has given you wings, the illusion of ownership. Today, we're taking a journey through a fascinating philosophical essay that completely challenges our modern obsession with control. This constant need to possess things and build these little personal empires for ourselves. We are going to totally deconstruct the heavy, invisible burdens we drag around every single day. So if you have ever felt just completely overwhelmed by the sheer weight of trying to micromanage your life, your career, or all your stuff, you are in the exact right place. We're going to explore how a massive shift in perspective might just be the exact thing you need to finally fly.
I want you to really consider this thought for a second. The Almighty has given wings, I cannot fly. Now, this isn't just some ancient, dusty whisper. It is essentially a mirror reflecting our own deepest modern anxieties. Think about it. As human beings, we possess these incredible capabilities. We're gifted with intellect, empathy, boundless creativity. These are our wings, right? But why do we so often feel completely grounded? The source text points out that we desperately wish to fly, but we simply cannot let go of our burdens. We try to let go, but actually scratch that. We subconsciously hold on to the belief that the things weighing us down, like our pride, our endless possessions, our need to control everything, actually belong to us. It's like we're clutching giant sandbags while looking up at the sky, wondering why we aren't soaring.
And honestly, that brings us to the very core of the problem. You call yourself the owner of wealth and property. Who was its first owner? I absolutely love this because it completely pierces right through our passive, everyday consumption. It just stops you right in your tracks. We go through our entire lives blindly placing our names on deeds, bank accounts, material goods, basically constructing our whole identity around what is mine. But this question, it echoes across centuries to challenge us directly. Absolute ownership? It's literally one of humanity's greatest illusions, because the answer is hiding right there in the question. Nothing truly belongs to us, not the things we hold in our hands, and definitely not the rigid little plans we construct in our heads.
So, what happens when we cling to this idea of ownership? We create a massive, exhausting burden for ourselves. When the unexpected happens, and let's be real, it always does, that rigid clinging naturally leads to breaking. But what if, instead, we embrace the freedom of trust? The essay we're exploring today suggests a total paradigm shift. Everything has merely been entrusted to us for a short time. When you start seeing yourself not as an owner, but just as a guest in this life, your entire mindset shifts. You experience this profound expansion and lightness. It completely alters how you touch time and how you interact with the world. Because the person who knows that nothing is truly theirs, they carry everything with a much gentler, much more profound care. They know the whole shebang will one day be returned. Just look at the frantic urgency of the modern human. We want to plan, we want to manage, we want to definitively determine every single outcome. But as we all know, life rarely submits to our perfectly color-coded spreadsheets, does it? An unexpected wind rises, our careful calculations collapse, and because we desire control so badly, we are just crushed by it. But now look at the farmer. The farmer sows the seed, tills the soil, and patiently waits. He does his job, he fulfills his duty, but, and here is the absolute magic of it, he knows he does not make the seed grow. The final result belongs to another power entirely. This modern desire to control is an invisible, crushing burden. The farmer's peaceful acceptance of his duty over the final outcome, that is the exact antidote we desperately need. So how do we actually get to that peaceful state? Well, the essay shares this incredible story of a dervish to map out the mechanics of spiritual awakening, breaking it down into 3 vital steps. Step 1 is knowledge. You see the smoke from a distance and you assume, okay, I understand the fire. Step 2 is observation. You actually see the fire itself and recognize its color and shape. But step 3 is experience. That's when you approach the fire and physically feel the truth of its heat upon your skin. The tragic thing is, most of us, we get completely stuck at step 1. We think we know, but we don't actually live it. We think, but we don't feel. We speak endlessly, but we don't know how to just be silent. Bridging that distance between merely knowing and truly living is the real journey of a lifetime. Let's just take a moment to slow down and really absorb this. All I thought I knew was but a shadow in disguise. Only as I burned did truth reveal itself inside. Wow, that is so incredibly powerful. You see, the distance between just knowing something intellectually and actually living it in your bones often requires a really painful breaking down of what we think we know. Truth isn't something you can just grasp with the mind alone. It has to find its place in the heart. But your heart can only expand when it's freed from its burdens. And sometimes, unfortunately, finding that freedom requires a metaphorical burning. So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding what exactly is catching fire. It is the burning of the ego.
That fire the dervish approaches is the deconstructing of our runaway desires, our pride, and all those false claims of ownership we talked about earlier. And let me tell you, pride is the heaviest burden of them all. We constantly assume that as we learn more facts and accumulate more stuff, we are somehow growing. But true spiritual growth actually begins with becoming smaller. A heart that can genuinely say, you know what, I do not know, is the most open heart of all, because it is finally ready to learn. What turns to ash in this fire is simply everything that's been weighing you down. And what happens after the fire? Well, this is where the rebirth happens. Rising from the ashes isn't some tragic end, it's a magnificent, beautiful beginning. With every single letting go, you get to begin again. As you release your grip, you instantly become freer. But it's important to note this freedom isn't just floating around aimlessly in space. It actually leads to discovering a much, much deeper belonging to the source of existence. And finally, that brings us to serenity. In our hyper-fast, notification-driven modern world, true serenity is almost a forgotten blessing. But it's right there. It is waiting for us, right on the other side of letting go of our burdens. To really ground this philosophy, the essay brings in this exquisite cultural anchor from an Anatolian folk song by Rusati. It says, "Is there no other lover but you? What is this panic, O mad heart? Just think, since the age of Adam, countless souls have come and gone, O mad heart." You can just feel the deep sorrow and the incredibly tender yet firm self-reproach in these words. It's directed right at that restless, anxious part of ourselves that honestly thinks our own personal drama is the center of the universe. It's a beautiful, poetic reminder to just zoom out for a second and look at the vast expanse of human history. What's truly fascinating here is unpacking these rich, untranslatable Turkish concepts. This is a real aha moment for sure. Take the word aşık. It isn't just a lover in the romantic sense. It's a deeply spiritually longing soul. Then there's daily gönül, which translates to the mad heart, that impulsive, hyper-anxious inner self that just panics when it can't control things. Nefs is way richer than our standard Western concept of ego. It encompasses the lower self, our base appetites, the constant inner struggle. And finally, topraklar başına, the earth will cover your head. It's an uncompromising, profound reminder of our own mortality. This is very old, very wise Anatolian philosophy. It's deeply affectionate toward human weakness, but it is brutally honest about the fact that our time here is strictly temporary. And because our time is temporary, we seriously have to reconsider how we're spending it. There is a hugely powerful distinction to be made here. Patience is not passive waiting. It is an active awareness. We usually think of patience as just sitting around, twiddling our thumbs until whatever we want finally shows up. But the essay argues that truth does not reveal itself to people in a rush. It unveils itself to those who intentionally, purposefully slow down. When you practice active awareness, you stop merely existing on autopilot. You begin to actually see, first yourself, then your surroundings, and then, finally, your rightful, humble place within the whole picture. And this active awareness, it yields some incredible fruits. When you finally recognize your own limitations, you naturally develop a deep compassion for the flaws of others. You begin to genuinely respect the unique, messy journeys of your fellow travelers. You develop this uncompromising honesty with yourself, basically because you finally stop pretending to possess what you don't actually own. The greatest burden we carry is the lie we tell ourselves about what we can control. When you drop that lie, you achieve this rock-solid inner peace and balance, totally amidst all the external chaos. You become incredibly resilient, literally no matter which way the wind happens to blow. Which brings our entire narrative arc to this really beautiful, quiet resolution. I'm a traveler in this world, and everything given to me in this journey is a trust. This perfectly summarizes our core thesis today. Life is a temporary experience to be lived. It is not a permanent property to be owned. You don't own your talents. You don't own your wealth. You don't even own the people you love. They are trusts. They are simply on loan to you. And when you finally realize you are just a traveler holding on to these precious things for a very brief moment, the heavy, clunky armor of ownership just falls right away, and your wings are finally free to open. So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this final, highly provocative thought. Are you carrying your trust with care or carelessness? I want you to really think about your daily actions. Think about that tension you might literally be holding in your shoulders right now. Are you exhausting yourself trying to own the unownable? What invisible burdens are you finally ready to just let go of today so that you can actually fly? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep reflecting, keep questioning, and I will see you next time.